Defenders have seen a massive overhaul in the way they score points this FPL season, which means just because a player was good for points last season doesn't necessarily mean they'll be good this year too. Today we're going to rank 30 different defenders in FPL to see if your defense is bang on the money or maybe you've got some dodgy picks in there. Yes guys, classic tier lists are back on the FPL Mate channel, and today we are going to be ranking those defenders and putting them into 5 different categories: the top picks, great picks, solid picks, risky picks, and the flat out avoids. There is going to be some controversial opinions in this video, guys, so for those of you who just skip to the end, look at the picture of the tier list, you're probably already writing your angry comments right now, but if you're going to hear me out, I think you may change your mind on a few players that may even be in your team right now. And guys, we are going to be picking players not just on how good they are in FPL, how many points we expect them to score over the course of the season, but also we're going to be looking at their price. So just because Van Dijk is a better defender, will get more points than someone like Konsa, that doesn't necessarily mean we have to rank Van Dijk ahead of Konsa, because there is a difference in their price. And we are also going to be factoring in fixtures. This is a tier list for game week 1, whether you should pick them for your game week 1 team or not. So those fixtures are going to be important too. I want to get started right away, guys. So let's start off with a very easy one. And we're going to be counting down from the 20th most popular defender all the way up to the first most popular defender at time of recording. And finally, we're going to look at some differentials towards the end of the video. I'm going to start off with Doggy. He is injured, rumored out for 2 months. I think that is a pretty easy avoid there. So if he's in your team right now, guys, you need to get him out. Our next one is going to be Milenkovic, and I think he could probably go in the great pick category. 5 goals and 2 assists last season, which is very, very good. He also had a 35% defensive contribution hit rate last season, which means he is going to get those additional 2 points for defensive contributions in around 35% of his games. 1 in 3. That's pretty nice. And of course, the fixtures are good as well. So we like Milenkovic. He is a great pick. Pretty decent there. Next up, we're going to go for Daniel Muñoz. Great name, by the way. Daniel. Really strong, solid name. I think he's also a great pick, but I'm going to maybe move him down into solid. And that's mostly because of the fixtures. 4 goals, 6 assists last season. He actually underperformed his XG. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him score even more goals this season. He also has a 19% defensive contribution hit rate, which is actually not too bad for a attacking fullback. Usually we see the higher rates for the centre backs compared to the fullback, so that's actually not too bad, all things considered. Next up, let's put in the new Brighton left back, Maxim Cuyper. So he's going to go in the risky category for me. 3 goals and 6 assists in 37 appearances last season in the Belgian league. A few of those assists were from set pieces, but with Estupiñán gone, we do expect he will be the main starting left back for Brighton. But it should be said that Kadioglu is still at the club, so there may be some rotation at some point or another in the season for Cuyper, and I think that's why he's in the risky category. Also, after the first 2 fixtures, the fixtures do get a little rougher for Brighton there, so I'm not 100% sure on Cuyper straight away, but certainly a player to keep an eye on this season. Next up, Pedro Porro. I'm really struggling on this one. I'm going to put him in the solid pick category. He's doing really well on the data models. They are predicting he will do quite well. Now that Maddison is injured, we expect him to get a decent share of these set pieces. So taking free kicks, taking corners. He did get 2 goals and 6 assists last season. And we're hoping that Spurs will be better defensively under Thomas Frank. It's just kind of difficult to judge how he will be. I think the Frank fullbacks don't typically get a huge amount of defensive contributions. Bit of a mystery, but the fixtures are good. I think there is a chance this could be a good pick, but it's very difficult to say right now. So we'll put him in solid. I'm happy with him there. Next up, Kerkez. And I think I'm probably happy to put Kerkez in the great pick category. 2 goals and 6 assists for Bournemouth last season. Now he is playing for Liverpool, hence the 6 million price tag. But it does seem he is going to be starting straight away for Liverpool, straight into the starting 11 as the main left back. And you never know, could have some corner share as well. We do typically see that with Liverpool left backs taking corners from that left-hand side. So I think he could be a great pick. I really, really do. Even for game week 1, there is maybe some concerns about defensive contributions, but he should be able to make up for that with his attacking threat. And of course, clean sheets from playing for one of the best teams in the league. Well, probably the best team in the league at this point. Our next pick is going to be Steve. Steve at Burnley. Yeah, 4 million defender. Very, very cheap. Very, very nice. £1 fish. He has got a low goal threat. So not really a goal scorer. He's only scored 3 times in his entire career. Should be good for defensive contributions because we expect Burnley will have to do a lot of defending. However, Burnley without James Trafford are significantly worse defensively. And I would probably say that Sunderland are the only defence worse than Burnley in the Premier League going into the new season. So I'm not expecting a huge amount of clean sheets, and I don't know if the fixtures are good enough. Maybe you can rotate him in and out here and there, but I'm not expecting a huge amount of clean sheets this season from Burnley now that there is no Trafford at the club. So yeah, a 4 million dud, maybe a bench option, but I wonder if I have got a better option for you guys. That we're going to talk about later. But he's solid. He's solid. Alex Moreno is our next guy who's going straight in a void. He is the 3rd choice left back at Villa. Not going to get any game time. And it actually looks like he's probably going to get sold as well. Back to Spain for Alex Moreno, unfortunately for him. So yeah, he is going to be a straight up avoid. I think if you're looking for a 4 million defender, there are some options who actually will play. So hey, could be a better option to go that way. Next one. Okay, this is probably the most controversial one in the video so far. I'm sure some people are going to disagree with me. I'm going to put Marc Guéhi in risky. And I even debated putting him in the avoid category today. Now, he's got 3 goals and 2 assists last season, which is brilliant, but it is uncharacteristic. In the previous 2 seasons to last, he only got 1 goal in those 2 seasons combined. So, you know, is he suddenly a good attacking threat? I don't really think so. He's not particularly known as, you know, for his physicality or aerial threat in the box from those set pieces, for example. So I don't know if it is sustainable. The other problem with Marc Guéhi is that he only has a 21% defensive contribution hit rate. So you're going to get those defensive contribution points 1 in 5 games. That's similar to Daniel Muñoz. And actually, there are some other Crystal Palace defenders at a similar price who are much better than Marc Guéhi. So I think it is risky to go for him. And therefore, he is going to drop into that category. He's not really a player I'm personally even nearly considering. I think there are just better options at his price for the same team. I could genuinely put him in a void here. I wouldn't mind putting him in a void. I think that would be okay as well. But, you know, let's see what you guys have to say. Maybe you guys can make an argument for Marc Guéhi, but hear what I have to say about the other Crystal Palace defenders first, and then see if you can justify going for Guéhi ahead of some of the other guys. Now, if you can, fair enough. But next up, we are going to go for Van der Ven. Actually, no, we're not going to go for Van der Ven. We're going to go for Saliba. Let's do Saliba next. I think Saliba is probably solid. He only scores when Gabriel isn't playing. He has a 15% defensive contribution rate, which is terrible for a centre-back. The fixtures in the opening 6, we've got Man United, Liverpool, Man City, and Newcastle in the opening 6. You know what? That's probably enough to move him down to the risky category at 6 million. There is a lot of risk there going for someone like Saliba. Because of those fixtures, no defensive contribution points, probably not going to score too many goals either, not really a goal-scoring centre-back necessarily. I think there are some risks there. You are depending on clean sheets in a difficult fixture run, and there is some risk attached there. That's why he's going in there. Right, now we'll do Van der Ven, who I like. I think we're gonna put him in the great pick category. Which is maybe, I don't know if that's controversial, but I think for Spurs in the left centre-back position, there's not really too much competition there right now. Danso and Romero are kind of more right-sided centre-backs. We could also see Van der Ven play at left-back because Udogie is injured. Van der Ven has scored 3 goals and 2 assists over 39 starts over the past 2 seasons. And Brentford centre-backs actually score very high for defensive contributions last season under Thomas Frank. Now Frank is at Spurs. I wonder if that means that these Spurs centre-backs are now going to do really well for defensive contributions too. So I think there is positive signs there for Van der Ven. And I think for 4.5 million, given the very cheap price tag, I'm happy to put him in that category as one of the better 4.5 million defenders, really. Let's move on. We'll go to some even more popular players. Josko Gvardiol. I think he's solid. I don't think he is, necessarily an amazing pick. There are some issues. So he scored 5 goals last season, 0 assists, which was a big underperformance because he did create a decent amount. But is he going to be playing as a left back anymore, or certainly as much as previously? Now that Ike Nori has signed, even at the end of last season, wasn't really playing as a left back anymore, and therefore his attacking threat was more limited. So is he going to have the same goal scoring rate? Probably not. He also isn't necessarily amazing for defensive contributions. 14% hit rate. That's like, it's what is it? Similar to Saliba. Slightly worse than Saliba, actually. So, yeah, I think there are some concerns here for the Man City defender. I just wanted to put them out there. But still, he is solid. There's clean sheet potential there still, which is quite nice. Next up, Ola Aina. Now, guys, I am many things, but inconsistent is not one of them. New season of Dan putting Ola Aina in the avoid section. But this time, I think you guys can be convinced. I think I can convince you guys that he is an avoid. And these are the reasons. So 2 goals and 1 assist last season. It's not too bad, but given the amount of games he played, that is really not particularly impressive compared to the other Forest defenders. So, maybe one of the weaker Forest defenders in the goal scoring categories. Then we have the defensive contributions, where Aina is the weakest by far for defensive contributions. In the Forest back four, we expect around 15% defensive contribution rate for Aina, which is significantly lower than even the second worst Forest defender. So how many times are we going to see defensive contributions? Not very often. Is he going to get enough goals and assists? Probably not. The fixtures are very good. Of course, we know that about Forest. But when there are other Forest defenders you can pick who offer much more, why would you pick Aina? There doesn't seem to be a reason for me to pick Aina. There's not one single advantage I can see. And also, guys, the most recent Forest friendly, where Forest put up a very strong team, Aina wasn't even starting. So maybe he's even the most rotation risk of the defenders as well. So weakest in pretty much all categories among Forest defenders, and therefore he has to be an avoid for me. Mark Cucurella, let's put him in next. I think he's solid. I think we could maybe even put him as a great pick, because from a defensive point of view, I really like the fixtures for Cucurella. Obviously, we know he's very attacking. 5 goals and 2 assists last season. He's going to do pretty poor on the defensive contributions, but the fixtures are good. Plays for a good team, and he's very attacking. So I think he's going to be a great pick for us. Kind of slightly better than the likes of Muñoz because of the mixed fixtures, and Pedro Porro, a bit more of an unknown quantity there. I think we like Cucurella. He does tick some boxes there. Next up, we're going to put our first top pick on the table, and that is going to be Virgil van Dijk. More than happy for him to go in the top pick category. 3 goals, 1 assist last season. We know he has that threat on those set pieces. He is also the best player the best defender for defensive contributions among the top 6 sides of last season. He has a 30% defensive contribution hit rate, which is amazing for a team that is also so good for clean sheets, so good just generally. And the fixtures, there are a couple of tough ones in there, but generally we hope Liverpool will do well. They have probably better fixtures than an Arsenal, maybe slightly worse than Man City, obviously worse than Chelsea. But we trust Liverpool, right? And we trust Van Dijk for his attacking threat, his aerial threat, and also the defensive contribution. So he's ticking a whole lot of boxes, maybe even all boxes, for the kind of things we want from defenders in the new season. And therefore, here's a top pick. Right. Next up, Gabriel. I might even go as far as to say avoid. I think I'm going to do it. Yeah, this is again controversial. He still has some injury issues. Right now, at time of recording, the most recent reports suggest he is not going to be available for Game Week 1. There's probably still a chance he can play in Game Week 1, but right now, he's not, and therefore he is an avoid, right? Of course, Game Week 2 is against Leeds. That is the best fixture that Arsenal have. After that, it's worse for a while. It really is. So if he's unavailable for game week 1, maybe unavailable for game week 2 as well, you've lost out on 2 of the best fixtures in the opening 6 for him, and he is going to drop in price. 3 goals and 2 assists last season is good, but his defensive contributions, really, really poor. Something like a 7% hit rate. That is diabolical. There is a player who's worse than that, who we're going to talk about next, but that is awful. You know, we're not going to get defensive contributions from Gabriel. He might not even be available. And I think by the time we want to pick up Arsenal defenders, where the fixtures are much better around game week 7, I can see Gabriel dropping down to like 5.9, 5.8 million. So actually there could be a really nice opportunity to pick Gabriel up when the fixtures are better, the fitness is there, and for a cheaper price as well. So that's probably what I'm going to do. Game week 1, Gabriel is going to be an avoid for me because of those potential injury issues. If something changes, then I'd be happy to move him up to risky. I really would. But I can only go by the information I know right now. Things change in football very quickly. Right, next up. This is where I lose a few of you, I'm sure. Ezri Konsa is going in risky. And honestly, he is lucky he's not in a void for me. He is lucky. Because we said Gabriel has a poor defensive contribution hit rate at 7%. Can you guess Konsa's? If it's even worse than that, 3% defensive contribution hit rate. He is going to so rarely get these defensive contribution points. Maybe once per season. That is really, really bad. And that's just the way Aston Villa kind of play. They don't really make too many defensive actions because they play a lot with the ball. It's just not really the way they play. 2 goals last season, which is not bad, but just 1 goal in the previous 2 seasons before that. So he's not typically a goal-scoring player at all. We know he's bad for defensive contributions. The only redeeming quality for Konsa is that after game week 1, his fixtures are pretty good, actually. So for me, he is kind of a 6 points max kind of player. You really are depending on clean sheets. If you lose your clean sheet from Konsa, that's it, you're done. Whereas other players, they have other ways of accessing points that Konsa just does not have access to, unfortunately. So I think there is some risk in going for Konsa. There will be other defenders at the same price who will outscore Konsa. It's difficult to say exactly who they'll be, but you know, I could certainly place a bet on a few players that's names are not Ezri Konsa. Anyway, next up, Ait-Nouri. Now, I'm going to put him in the risky category. It's not because he's a bad pick, but I think he just, you know, exemplifies the higher risk, high reward kind of player. 4 goals and 7 assists last season, playing for a much better defense right now, but he's not going to get defensive contribution points. The issue is with Ait-Nouri is Pep Roulette. Is he going to be starting every single game? We don't know. We don't know. Is Gvardiol going to play at left back? Is there going to be someone else playing at left back? We know that Man City have experimented to some success with various players at left back in that position. I think Ait-Nouri could become a really, really nice FPL pick. And honestly, just because a player's in the risky category, it doesn't mean you shouldn't pick them. It just means that you have to accept some risk if you are picking them. So I think it could be really good, but also we don't know for sure. So risky. Has to go in there, right? And it's the same with Frimpong, by the way, guys, who is the 2nd most popular defender in FPL at time of recording. It's the same situation. There is so much risk here. So Frimpong is an even higher risk, even higher reward kind of player than Ait-Nouri, perhaps. He is great in attack, 5 goals and 6 assists for Bayer Leverkusen in the Bundesliga last season, but he is awful at defending. I mean, he's not even a defender, really. He's a right midfielder. He doesn't play right back in a back 4, and as such, he is going to be used in certain situations for Liverpool, not necessarily every single game. And it seems like Bradley, when he is fit, because Bradley may miss game week 1, he's going to rotate with Frimpong a little bit, depending on the fixture, depending on how they want to play out the game. And therefore, when we get to game week 2 and 3, where there are some slightly tougher fixtures, Bradley is available. I would not be surprised to see Frimpong benched for those fixtures where you can't really afford to play a flat back 4 with really only 3 defenders there in your defense, because Frimpong is so far up the pitch, he's leaving those massive holes, those massive gaps in the defense. So from a tactical point of view, I don't think Frimpong actually plays every game. I think he's a great option to have at Liverpool, but I don't think the intention was to play him 38 games in a season, and that is why for me he is risky. When he does play though, I'm sure he's going to be absolutely brilliant, but just be aware. And the most popular defender right now is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who is a solid pick. Yeah, no higher than that. Even though he is the most popular defender in the game right now, I think he is solid, and that's about it. 2 goals, 6 assists last season. That is the best attacking rate of any 4.5 million defender. He's got a 17% defensive contribution rate. So that's pretty decent as well for a fullback. It's not, you know, good for a centre-back. It is pretty weak for a centre-back, but he's not. He is a wing-back. So not too bad there. The fixtures are kind of average after game week 1. Game week 1's decent, but after that, you know, after the Sunderland game, it's going to get a lot tougher for him. The big problem with Wan-Bissaka, which is what prevents me from putting him any higher than this, is that he plays for probably the worst defence in the Premier League outside of the newly promoted teams. I think the new left back could even, you know, we will come to him, by the way, the new West Ham left back. I think he's actually going to get even more license to attack than Wan-Bissaka, which might mean Wan-Bissaka has to play a little bit more conservatively in the new season. So we could see him with slightly less attacking returns in the new season. So there's lots to think about there, but he is solid. There's certainly a lot of positives to Wan-Bissaka, but there are also some negatives there as well, which is why I think putting him around the middle here is probably the fairest place to put him, to be totally honest. And those guys are the most popular picks, but I've got a whole bunch of differentials for you that are in very few teams in FPL, and I think a lot of them are really worth talking, and a lot of them are going to go in the top picks. A lot of them are going to go in these top categories. They really, really are. Even though very few people are picking these players. So we are going to go through them. But if you are enjoying this video, make sure you do drop a like. It does massively help out the channel. Do make sure you subscribe, particularly if you'd like to see more tier list videos. Let me know what position you'd like to see next for the tier list. Would you like some midfielders? Would you like some forwards? Would any of you weirdos like a goalkeeper tier list? Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, let's have a look at these differentials. So under 5% owned, starting off with James Tarkowski. For me, he's a top pick. He has to be a top pick. He is the defensive contribution GOAT. No other player comes close to him. He had a, let's find this, 66.7% hit rate for defensive contributions last season, and was consistent in previous seasons as well. So he has got an amazing hit rate for this. 2 in 3 games, we are expecting defensive contribution points from him. He also has some very nice fixtures. We know that Everton have really nice fixtures to start off this season. So plays for a good defense, good fixtures, amazing for defensive contributions, but maybe his attacking could do with some work. 1 goal and 1 assist in each of his last 3 Premier League seasons is probably the thing that lets him down the most. But because he is, you know, he scores so high in some of these other categories. How good is the defense he plays for? How good are the fixtures? What are the defensive contributions like? What are his minutes like? Is he going to play every game? Yes, he is. He scores so high in these other categories. For 5.5 million, I think he is possibly best in class at 5.5 million, to be honest. There's maybe one other player who I maybe prefer, who we'll have a look at. But first of all, we need to look at Dorgu, who I'm going to put in the risky category. I think that's probably fair to put him somewhere around here as a differential. He's very attacking despite no goals or assists in the Premier League last season. I think he's been a little unlucky with his attacking contributions. We expect Man United to improve, but there may be some rotation risk with Dalot or Ahmad. The fixtures are also pretty mixed, so maybe he works as a rotation kind of player. I've just noticed on screen it says 5.5 million, but he is a 4.5 million player, by the way, guys. So just be aware of that one. He is 4.5 million, so could work as a rotation kind of defender, but there is some risk there. Man United, going to be a bit of an unknown quantity this season. Next player, and I think maybe the only player to rival Tarkowski is going to be Murillo, who I need to put somewhere between top pick and great pick. I think it's probably fair to put him alongside Milenkovic there. So if Tarkowski is the defensive contribution king, Murillo is the prince. So he had a 52.8% hit rate last season. So in over half of his games, we are expecting defensive contribution points from him. He also scored 2 goals last season, which is, you know, it's not too bad. He got 18 bonus points last season as well, because he is making so many defensive actions. Not only is he going to get those points, but he's also going to have a greater access to those bonus points as well. And 18 bonus points is compared to 2 bonus points of Milenkovic as well. So basically, because Murillo is good, better for defensive contributions, better for bonus points, you're basically relying on Milenkovic scoring scoring a goal, maybe getting an assist for him to outscore Murillo. If Murillo is, if Murillo and Milenkovic are both playing, Milenkovic doesn't score in a game, Murillo is going to outscore Milenkovic. It's pretty much as simple as that. So it depends on your appetite. What do you prefer? The access to better goal threat, or the more consistent, more reliable kind of points that Murillo should be providing? So I think they're around the same in how good they are as picks, but they definitely offer different things. Both of them are great with the fixtures they have, because outside of game week 4 against Arsenal away, both these all Nottingham Forest defenders look really, really good. And there's one more Nottingham Forest defender to talk about, and that's going to be Nico Williams, who I've dropped in a void. He's absolutely not going in there. To me, he is going in the top pick category, because for 5 million defenders, I don't think there's anyone better than Nico Williams. And the fact that he is a differential, the fact that people are not picking him is a sin. I'm not saying he's a must buy. I'm really not saying that, by the way, guys. Just because a player's a top pick doesn't mean they're a must buy. Some players might not fit your structure of your team, or you might have that defense covered by another player who you maybe prefer. So you don't have to buy these top pick players. But for him to be like 3% owned is absolutely outrageous. More people need to know about Nico Williams. So 1 goal and 3 assists last season. So more attacking contributions than Ola Aina. And he did it in 28 starts as well, because it really took until, maybe 1/3 way through of the season for Nico Williams to establish himself as a regular first team starter for Forest. But once he was in the team, he is undroppable now. He really, really is. So Williams in less games got more attacking contributions than Aina. He has a 32% defensive contribution hit rate. That is by far the best of all of the fullbacks, and it's actually similar to Milenkovic as well for those defensive contributions. So really, really strong in those categories, guys. So yeah, it does just as well as Milenkovic for those defensive contributions. Has some attacking threat, maybe not as much as Milenkovic, but he's also 0.5 million cheaper. And that 0.5 million can go a long way in the game of FPL, as you guys will surely know. So if you do want to downgrade one of your Forest defenders to Nico Williams, I wouldn't blame you one bit. I think that you could actually do a very good job if you did do that, if you could put that 0.5 million to some good use. Let's go even more differential, guys. Let's go deeper still. And Gudmundsson is going to be my favourite 4 million defender. So we're going to put him next to a Steve, but I think he's probably better. Probably a better pick there. So he is an attacking left back. He scored 2 goals last season. But what's really interesting is that in pre-season, he's been a set-piece taker for Leeds. He's been taking corners. He's been taking free kicks. He should be nailed on in that left back position. And honestly, I think he's more of a 4.5 million kind of player. I think FPL kind of messed up on the pricing Gudmundsson, which is why I think he's the best 4 million defender. Definitely a solid 4 million option to go for. He's probably my pick of the bunch. But hey, maybe that again depends on your structure, what game weeks you think you might need your 4 million defender for, what weeks you might want to start them, may have some impact on whether you pick someone like Gudmundsson or someone like a Steve instead. So there's some options there. Right, next. The other West Ham fullback is going to be Juve, and I think he's probably like risky, but you know what? I think he could be really interesting. Very attacking young left back, 7 goals and 3 assists in the Czech League last season. Bit of a transition from there to the Premier League, but he looks like a real talent. He looks like he's going to be the main attacking wing back for West Ham, certainly judging by pre-season, but maybe there is some rotation risk with Walker-Peters. I think he is probably more risky for minutes than someone like Wan-Bissaka, which is why he drops down in the lower category. And of course, West Ham are still a pretty poor defense, so he can't be super high, unfortunately, because West Ham are just not that good defensively. And after game week 1, the fixtures are pretty bang average. Next player is going to be Romero, I'm going to put him in solid. I quite like this pick. I do quite like this pick. We're going to put him alongside Pedro Porro there. So 1 goal and 1 assist in 18 starts last season, but he got 5 goals the season before that, really showing his aerial threat. And I think he could do really well for defensive contribution points under Thomas Frank. Like, maybe one of the better players in the whole Premier League for defensive contribution points, actually. So if you can afford to spend an extra 0.5 million going from Van der Ven to Romero, it could be worth it. It's something that really could pay off. But I guess that remains to be seen. Next up, Maxence Lacroix. And we're in the ultra differential category at this point, by the way, guys. These players are 1% owned or cheaper. And I think Lacroix is a great pick. I really, really do. 1 goal and 2 assists last season. He has an incredible 49% defensive contribution hit rate. That is the 4th best of any regularly starting defender in the entire league last season. Really incredible stuff. He is a little more expensive than Marc Guéhi, but I think it is worth paying that money for all of the additional points you are likely to get from Lacroix. He is better in every way for your FPL points, and maybe that's why he's a bit more expensive. I guess the question is, are the fixtures good enough to justify spending 5 million? And I think that's what maybe lets him down a little bit. Crystal Palace, by the way, are a brilliant defense. They were, they were second best for clean sheets in the second half of last season. Only Man City got more clean sheets in the second half of last season. So if Crystal Palace can continue that form into the new season, there's going to be clean sheets on offer, even in some of the tougher games, So yeah, lots to love there about Lacroix. He ticks a lot of boxes for 5 million at least. Next up, Anderson. For me, solid, but like a high solid, I think. I think for 4.5, I think he's really, really good. So Fulham were actually the biggest defensive underperformers last season. They had the 5th best defensive underlying numbers, but somehow only kept 5 clean sheets. That is unlike Fulham. The season before that, they kept 10 clean sheets. I think maybe 10 or 11. The season before that, maybe 8 or 9. Maybe even 10 again. So yeah, they didn't really do what they can do last season. It was a strange season really for Fulham, and maybe a strange season for Anderson as well, because Anderson got 0 attacking returns last season, but the season before that, 2 goals and 3 assists. So look, I think Anderson is maybe a bit of a sleeping, I don't want to say giant. What's somewhere in between someone who's maybe small and someone who's a giant? Just like your average sized guy. He's a sleeping average sized guy. But yeah, I think he really is a consideration. I think he could have a really good season in FPL this year, and I think he's a solid pick to go for as well. So yeah, happy to put him there. Maybe the fixtures are a little bit mixed for him, which is why he stays in solid. Someone like Van der Ven has better fixtures at 4.5 million, and there's one more guy who has better fixtures for 4.5, and that is the man, the myth, the legend, the most hyper differential of all of the defenders, Chris Richards. He's a great pick. He's a great pick. There's no doubt about it. There's one thing letting him down, and that is the fixtures. But I think if you rotated him with like some other defenders, maybe another 4.5 million defender, he could be absolutely elite. So let me talk to you about Chris Richards and why he is a great pick. And maybe we'll try and figure out why no one's picking him. 1 goal and 1 assist in 22 starts last season. He got 2 goals for USA at the Gold Cup. I mean, typically throughout his career, he's kind of a 1 attacking return every 10 games kind of player. So that's kind of average as far as centre-backs go. So middle of the road kind of attacking threat for a centre-back. But that's fine. That's fine. You're going to get these occasionally. But what's interesting is that he got a 38% defensive contribution hit rate last season, which compared to Marc Guéhi, who was 21%, you're looking at almost double. So Richards, when he plays, is going to be, almost double the amount of defensive contribution points than Guéhi at the same price. The question is he going to play? Well, the answer is yes when fit. He is nailed on when fit. And every time he plays for Crystal Palace are a better team with him. So he is first choice. There is no doubt about that. But he has had some injury problems in the past. And I think that is the one, aside from maybe the fixtures, which you could rotate him for, that is the one thing stopping me from putting Richards in the top pick category, is his his injury record, which is it's okay. The last 2 seasons, he's missed a handful of games in each of them. Season before that, no injury problems there at all. But yeah, there is maybe some concern there. There's some concern there. But like, you know, when a player is fit and they're a good pick, you pick them. No one's saying, oh, I'm not picking, you know, if Isak moves to Liverpool, people aren't going to say, well, I'm not going to pick Isak because, you know, what if he gets injured? If he gets injured, you use a transfer. That's what they're there for in the game of FPL. So, you know, Richards, if he's stays fit for half a season, that's all you need. All you need. He's going to be really, really good when he plays. Honestly, I think this is going to be a really nice pick. So that's why he is in the great pick category. And that is pretty much why Mark Gay is so low, because I don't really see too much of a reason to pick Mark Gay when you can pick Chris Richards. I really don't. So there you go. I think I'm pretty happy with the way this tier list looks. I wonder if we could jiggle things around a little bit. I mean, we could maybe throw Murillo and Milenkovic into the top pick category. I think these are really nice picks generally. Could we throw Kerkez in there? Maybe. But, you know, great pick is still a pretty big compliment to him. I think I'm happy. I think I'm happy with my tier list. We'll bump those Forest defenders up a little bit more. And again, guys, that doesn't mean you need to pick 3 Forest defenders. It just means that they're all good options. Other than Ola Aina. I'm so sorry, Ola. I think you're a brilliant bloke from having seen you in interviews and stuff and podcasts. But for FPL, the other guys are just unfortunately going to just edge you, particularly with the new scoring system, which it doesn't particularly favour Aina, unfortunately. But there we go. I think we're happy. Guys, let me know what you think about the tier list. Have I got things roughly right? You guys will have to tell me. If there's anyone you would move here, let me know. If there's any players I somehow missed out as well, let me know. I'm sure that I've missed someone here, but hopefully I got most of the big players today. But drop a like. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. Check out some other videos if you would like to. I will see you tomorrow for yet another video. See you later, mates. Bye-bye.